From viral moments to big crowds at rallies, the surge in enthusiasm for Kamala Harris's presidential campaign has translated to higher polling numbers. But our senior data reporter, Harry Enten, is here to remind us it is still way too soon to count the other candidate, Donald Trump, out. We're just under 3 months to the election. How much does enthusiasm predict what's going to happen at the polls?
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, the thing that we put out those poll numbers yesterday, you know, New York Times, Siena College, we covered them. I showed you the Ipsos polling, all of which that showed Kamala Harris with clear momentum, enthusiasm potentially on her side. But I just want to take a step back and sort of point out we've kind of been here before. So August 13th, how far were the polls off in Michigan, Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin? And this is in 2016 and 2020. Trump was estimated both times around and by significant margins. Take a look here. In 2016, the average poll in those states that I mentioned, those Great Lake battleground states, Trump was underestimated by 9 points on average at this point in 2016. How about 2020? It wasn't a one-off. Look at this. He was underestimated by 5 points on average. And of course, Kamala Harris's advantage in those New York Times, Siena College polls were 4 points in each of these key battleground states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. The bottom line is this. If you have any idea, if you're a Kamala Harris fan and you want to rip open the champagne bottle, pop that cork, do not do it. Donald Trump is very much in this race. If we have a polling shift like we've seen in prior years from now until the final result, Donald Trump would actually win. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I am saying that he is very much in this ballgame based upon where he is right now, and compare that to where he was in prior years.
We certainly heard the Harris campaign saying we have to keep fighting.
Absolutely.
This is definitely not over. All right. Let's talk about enthusiasm and how that translates actually. We are quite a ways out, again, 3 months about.
Yeah, you know, yesterday I was mentioning, you know, the enthusiasm for the Democratic ticket was up. Yep. But that enthusiasm is not the same thing as going out to actually vote. And there's a different question, which essentially says, how certain are you actually going to go out and vote? And this is the top range. Almost certain to vote. Again, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. This is among registered voters. Look at this. Look at Kamala Harris now compared to where Joe Biden was back in May. In fact, 62% of Joe Biden voters said they were almost certain to turn out and vote. Now,
it's gone down.
It's actually gone down a little bit. I would call this in the same general area at 61%. But it's basically unchanged. And look at Donald Trump. He was at 58% in May. He's actually gone up a little bit now. He's at 60% now. Again, basically no real change. So the bottom line here is, yes, there may be more enthusiasm for Kamala Harris, but the fact is we're not seeing that necessarily translate in the almost certain vote. And one little other note, Sarah, I will note this. Donald Trump is more popular today than he was on August 13th in either 2020 or 2016. So the bottom line is, yes, Kamala Harris is doing better in the polls, but there's a long way to go. The polls can shift. The almost certain to vote hasn't actually shifted, and Donald Trump is more popular than he was at either 2016 or 2020 at this point.
Those are interesting data points, Harry Enten. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kate?
Joining us now, CNN political commentators Michael Singleton and Paul Begala. Paul, take where that conversation, with the bright spots for Donald Trump, if you will, that Harry Enten was pointing to right there, and add this into it. As Axios is talking today about the way they put it is Trump's panicked pivot. A flurry of movements aimed at Harris's momentum. Trump yesterday, Monday, posted on X for the first time in nearly a year, sat for a rambling 2-hour conversation with Elon Musk, unveiled a barrage of online ads, scheduled trips to 2 swing states, beefed up his team by bringing on a former aide who led a pro-Trump super PAC. You see that and you think what?
Well, I think necessary but not sufficient. Honestly, I just set my Democratic hat off. If I work for Trump, I'd put him out there. Why is he sitting in Mar-a-Lago talking to this billionaire on his Twitter machine, right? He ought to be out there. Why isn't he in Michigan? Why isn't he in Wisconsin? Why isn't he in Pennsylvania? Why isn't he in Arizona? I honestly don't know. People who listened to that discussion, as it were, on X, I did not, said that he was slurring his words. He seemed discombobulated, as as I am right now. I think that there's something going on with Trump. And it may just be that he's thrown off by Kamala Harris, but it does point the way to the Democrats' new way of taking on Mr. Trump, which I think is very smart. It used to be Democrats were like, oh, scream and yell, oh, hair on fire, he's a threat, he's a strong man, he's a dictator. And my hair was on fire so much I don't have any left. Now they're switching to ridicule, right? Much more effective. You know, Alinsky's rules for radical, number 5. Ridicule is our most potent weapon because the target does not know how to respond. Trump doesn't know what to do And the thing on X was just a target-rich environment. It was just a complete joke. I mean, it was pathetic. And I don't understand why they have a guy who's really good at rallies and they're not putting him out there in rallies in swing states. I don't get it.
Your self-awareness is one of your more endearing qualities, Paul Begala. Shermichael, a pro-Trump super PAC just announced in the past day that it's spending $100 million on ads between now and Labor Day to run ads in 7 swing states. Can that blunt the momentum that is evidenced in the polling now for Kamala Harris?
I mean, it's certainly going to help, Kate. The campaign is also spending $73 million. So combined, you're getting close to $200 million over the next 3 weeks in an effort to define Vice President Harris and an effort to define her running mate, Governor Walz. Early voting will start in September. You just saw with Harry Enton how close the poll numbers are, despite the fact that Vice President Harris does have a national lead. If you take into account the numbers from 2016 and 2020, where Donald Trump appeared to be further behind than he actually was, if you take into the 9 points from 2016 to 5 points from 2020, then you actually see a race that's either dead even or at least with Trump a point ahead. And so I do think there's still an opportunity to potentially shift some of those numbers before people in those early battleground states begin to vote early come mid-September.
One of the states to watch was and is Arizona. And Paul, we've now learned that abortion will be on the ballot in Arizona this November. The Secretary of State certifying that an abortion access measure has more than enough of the signatures required. The proposed amendment would allow abortions until a fetus could survive outside the womb, typically around 24 weeks. It would restrict the state from adopting or enforcing any law that would prohibit abortion access. I am wondering now what this could mean for voter turnout for the presidential race and also a closely watched Senate race there, Paul.
Right. The Dobbs decision, 2022, was the most important single-day political moment I have seen since 9/11. It changed everything in politics, and it will for years to come. This has not aged well, right? The gay rights decision that Obergefell, that aged very well. The day it came out, a lot of people didn't like it. Over time, everybody accepted it. People are not accepting Dobbs, especially the women of America. And by the way, there are many guys who like women and who also want to restore Roe versus Wade. This is a huge issue for Kamala Harris and the Democrats. And so, yes, it's going to move voters in Arizona. It's going to move voters because listen to what Kamala Harris is saying. She's got a new ad out, too. And she says, I want the same abortion rights in every state. I want this. She wants to go back to Roe versus Wade, where every state had to have the same essential abortion laws. That is a really powerful driver because the problem for abortion for Democrats is Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania all have Democratic governors who have pledged to veto any restrictions on abortions. So when Kamala Harris says Trump and Project 2025 wants to eliminate abortion rights in all states, I want to enshrine them in all states. Now you're giving voters, not only in Arizona where it's on the ballot, but in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania where it's not, you're giving them a reason to go and vote pro-choice.
Shermichael, real quick, does Arizona make you nervous now when you know this is going to be on the ballot?
I mean, Kate, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think there's a Republican strategist in this country who's worth their salt who would not tell you, holy smoke, this is not what you want on the ballot before a hotly contested election. We know after 2 years of electoral data that this issue mobilizes the heck out of Democrats. It mobilizes suburban women voters. It's why you've seen the former president attempting to moderate his stance, saying, well, states should vote on the issue. And by that, I think he means ballot initiatives allowing voters in those states to vote on the issue. But this is just not good for Republicans because it not only gins up turnout, but it gins up turnout for Democrats. That is the opposite effect you want in a hotly contested race.